Hey guys, happy Friday. Back with another update on our film projects, another OnlyFans update. We have a shoot coming up in Sacramento on the 17th. We're shooting a scene that we're adding to the movie that wasn't part of the original script, but the opportunity just kind of came up and it was too good to pass up. We're able to use a carousel, and I'm a big fan of the Lost Boys, and that intro of them at the boardwalk, Santa Cruz Boardwalk, on the carousel, the merry-go-round, has been ingrained in my brain ever since I was a little kid. And I mean, it's just the perfect time with OnlyFans being a movie that was obviously, definitely inspired by the Lost Boys, and among other movies, but mostly the Lost Boys. So yeah, this is something we couldn't pass up. So we're very excited about that. We'll be shooting with Phoebe Bardot in that scene, and this scene was, written for her because she's a big fan of the Lost Boys too, as are we. And we also have another scene that we're going to pay an homage to another cult classic, Fright Night 2, that we'll be shooting probably within the same month if we can find the time with our cinematographer Dan. But it's a scene that was written into the script, but we just were not able to pull it off. We didn't have enough time. So I decided to take that from one character and put it into another character played by Sata. I did want to talk a little bit about, paying homage and paying tribute to scenes from your favorite movies. In general, it's just a great way to start, I feel. Especially if they're movies that aren't widely known. Not that Lost Boys isn't widely known, but Fright Night 2, I know it was just announced today that they're going to be releasing it sometime next year, maybe. But it's a movie that a lot of people, not a lot of people have seen. But for those who have and those who remember it, like me, I remember watching it on Cinemax or HBO as a young kid and just being, so mesmerized by it because I was such a fan of the original. So, anyways, yeah. So using movies to pay homage to or tribute to and putting them in your script is a great way for any filmmaker to get started. They always say artists, steal from everywhere. I mean, some of our favorite directors do it, and some of them cite their sources, and some of them don't. For the ones that do, it's a great thing to see in artists and how much they pull from other movies and how many cultural references they have. I think as an artist, it's important to have a lot of touchstones. I've said it before in other podcasts, but having touchstones and references and then be able to put them in your work is very important as a filmmaker, artist. It just something you can call on, when you're writing something. Something you can call on when you're directing something. Now you're not going to be able to copy it, 100%. Even if you wanted to, you wouldn't be able to. You just don't have the resources that these other people had back then or currently. So you don't have the same resources. You don't have the same actors, same lighting, same anything. So whatever you do is going to be original, or an original reimagining, or an original translation, interpretation, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be original because you're going to do it your own way and with your own resources that you have at your disposal. So automatically it's yours. It's remixed, however you want to say it. It's still, a true interpretation and artistic interpretation. So you never should shy away from that. I do see a lot of people get stuck in trying to be original, or at least what in their mind what originality is. And it can be very, very frustrating. And more often than not, they kind of just give up. Because when you are on the quest for originality, it can make you very ultra critical of your own work, of other people's work, and then you start seeing the uselessness of making art at all, which is, every artist I think hits that wall when they try going down that path. But you should really embrace the things you love, and you should try to work them into your work, or use them as a springboard for motivation to do something. I think looking at a movie and being like, yeah, I want to do something like that, it's a great way to start. I know a lot of people do it. I do it all the time, every time. So yeah, don't shy away from that. Like I said, I've been paying homage to, a whole bunch of vampire movies with OnlyFans, and specifically these two scenes coming up with the carousel and with the roller skating scene. I mean, those are, right there from Lost Boys and Fright Night 2. I'm just going to do them in my way and hopefully, do justice to the original source material. But that really shouldn't be your concern in a way, or nor should it be mine. Because I love it, and the love that I have for it will most likely show through. And, that also, I'm translating that love to the people in the scene, like the actors. I mean, they may not be familiar with it, or they may be familiar with it, but not in the way I am. The cinematographer, wardrobe, art direction, all of that. And then ultimately to the person watching the movie, the viewer. So I'm just being upfront about it right now because I have a love for those two movies, especially Lost Boys, of course, but Fright Night 2, I've already paid homage to it. There's a bowling alley scene in this movie, which was definitely inspired by Fright Night 2. But anyways, you can see a lot of that references, Easter eggs, whatever you want to call them, in this movie. And I think you'll see that in most of our movies. If you watch Streets of Vengeance, you know that there's a ton of giallo, 1970s horror references in there, 80s horror references, of course. Of course, with the scene with Alexis and Sophie, with the razor blade cutting down the sheet. It's Tenebrae, obviously, Crystal Shea getting the knife between her legs. That's, New York Ripper, instead of a knife instead of a bottle. And it's just the green garish lighting. So there's a ton of stuff. But as a filmmaker, yeah, I think it's important to have those touchstones, important to have those cultural references, just make your work richer, because it's not ripping off, because you're not totally ripping off the story or ripping off the characters, but you are using it as inspiration for your set pieces and for your sequences, which is great because you're a filmmaker and you're learning, and that's the best way to learn, is to pay tribute to the masters and the things you love within your own artwork. So yeah, if you want to hear any more, hear me talk about that anymore, let me know. Just giving you a brief update, talk about inspiration, and trying to do this every Friday. So see you next time. Thanks.